Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. There we go. Now you can see my boobs. That's perfect. All right.
Hell yeah.
Hello. Wait, no. Yes. We'll start with that. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I'll just lean right into it. I am your titillating host, Jesse. As always, by. I know you're going to leave it in, so I might as well just lean fully into it.
You're finally learning. I am so proud of you.
Thanks.
It's Vera. Hey, everybody.
How you doing, Vera?
I'm doing okay. I just got back from a vacation. My boyfriend and I went to Provincetown.
Nice.
Which we also did last year, and it's still great. It's still exceedingly gay.
I do want to go. You've told me about it before, so I do like finding gay places.
I love it so much. Actually, like, to give you an idea of how gay it is, because I can't put this up on the there are some pictures that I could share publicly from this. There are some that I can't. So if you check the Discord, this first thing I'm going to send you is just a window display that's just like visible from the street.
Whoa!
These are things that are just...
I can see... Jesus.
Yeah!
I mean, I love it, but...
I know! So do I, but...
Wow.
And then this one I can at least describe, if not share with everybody, which is that one of the highlights in Toys of Eros, which is a little sex store and has a little little museum history thing, is they have these signed dildos from people like Margaret Cho and Lily Tomlin and Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, that's
they sign dildos and they're in a case.
Honestly, I want to get now. I think that I should start doing that. Get people to sign dildos. Get every Star Trek cast member to sign a dildo.
Hell yes.
Gene Roddenberry would approve.
Get Michael Dorn to sign a double one.
That'd be perfect. I'm here for that.
But yeah, we had a real good time. The weather was nice. There was the first day that we were there, we went to the beach to watch the sunset, and it just felt like a very Provincetown experience that apparently we weren't paying attention, and we walked into frame with this guy who was set up to take pictures of the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
He did not get annoyed at us. In fact, the reason I know that we ended up doing that is because when we were leaving, he was like, wait a minute. He came over and was like, I want to send you the pictures of you walking into shot when I was getting. So we have like a dozen or so gorgeous pictures of us perfectly in silhouette against the sunset over the ocean, and
that's
it's really nice.
Oh, that's really sweet and very gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Extremely gay. It was good. It was a good trip.
Good. I'm glad. I am glad that you enjoyed that. I got myself stuck with a needle this weekend. So
yes, I see that. We have many times from the look of it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good time. It hurt a whole bunch. It came out looking really good right now. If you're watching the video version, it's just a bag of ink juice at the moment, because you have to. For those of you who don't get tattoos, you wrap it for about a week after you get it, and this is I forget what this is called. This is like Duralayer or whatever, so you don't take it off. You're supposed to leave it on for a week, and your body just bleeds out some of the ink that it was injected into it. So it's just a bag of ink juice that'll stay that way for a week, and then you take it off, and it's like the skull and crossbones comes out of it, and, yeah, exactly. It's like death, and then you're like, do I want to drink the juice? You can drink the ink juice, the stale, weak, old, festering ink juice. But no, I'm excited about it. I'll share a better image of it when it comes off. But It's a Ursula K. Le Guin tattoo based on The Dispossessed, one of my favorite books and one of my favorite writers. So I was excited to do it. I'm gonna hopefully get. Was talking with my artist, and I think I might get like finish like do a sleeve with this hand. It would be kind of fun.
Mm.
By continuing, I was sort of like wanting to continue this like glitchy one that I have here from Hack the Planet, and have it.
You gonna go full cyborg on that arm?
Yes and no. So what I want to do is I want to extend the like wiring, the circuitry up here.
Yeah.
So there's like a basically think like a chip here, and then have it like extend out across my arm and like cut into different things from different like sci-fi media like Matrix, Star Trek, Star Wars, that sort of stuff. And then as it goes down my arm, have the circuitry turn into roots of a tree, and have it end up being at the bottom of my hand, the world tree,
Ooh.
and have the roots sort of extend into like fantasy stuff that I like Lord of the Rings. So it's like science fiction and fantasy, so and like combining together, sort of thing. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Ambitious.
Yeah, think it'd be kind of fun. We'll see how it works out. But sadly, Battlestar Galactica will not be on there.
Can't
Oh yeah, which is
imagine
sad.
why not.
And so speaking of which, let us jump into the comments section for last 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago's episode, Faith. If I can say words. Let's see. Uh, Fushigi Yugi fanboy, apologies if I said that wrong, says, fellow gay here, I also have borderline no knowledge of drag queens, so don't worry, you're not alone. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad
I
that I'm
just,
not the only one.
I just want to start like honestly, every sentence with that. Fellow gay here.
Mm-hmm. I do. Fellow gay. Hello. Hi. Yes. Nice to meet you. Romler says, I'm going to be that guy. Only one of the lost actors who got caught drunk driving, and I'm not going to say the actor's name because you haven't seen the show and maybe one day we'll know it, was of color. And the other was another actress who is a white woman. And the really bizarre thing is the producers deny even to this day that the arrest had anything to do with killing him off, even though Wattress in particular the actress, had been clearly set up for some big stuff down the line, which got totally dropped. Yes, they're supposed to believe that it's just a total coincidence that they took out the exact two members of the massive cast who got in trouble. Yes, so I did want to say that because A, that is a correction. They did kill another actor of color who, but he was arrested. I looked this up after I saw this comment. He was arrested for driving without a license, and
Hmm.
arguing with the police. And I'm like, I question that whole like a black guy getting pulled over and arguing with the police. Like, I think he probably had a right to, you know. And
Like
he
my
also
main
got
thing
killed as
with the
well.
driving without a license, like, okay, but like a suspended one, or did he just not have it on him?
According to this, was arrested for disobeying a police officer and driving without a license. That's all it says.
All right, that's right. Not knowing the specifics, because saying
Yeah,
driving
who knows?
without a license to me could mean one of two things. It could mean he flat out did not have one, in which case, yes, he should not be driving. Or it could have meant he didn't have it on him at the
Mm-hmm.
time, which to me would read, if that is the case, to me that would read as the pullover was bullshit and they found other reasons to arrest him.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know the story. All I know is that yes, the three actors who got in trouble with the police all got killed off on the show. With at least one of them almost certainly having shit that was gonna come back up down the line, and they
Hmm.
just sort of cut short, which is frustrating.
Classy.
Yeah, yeah. If there's a good book called Burn It Down, which is a kind of a discussion around the problems of Hollywood, especially in writers' rooms and such like that, and one of the chapters is all about Lost and the many problems behind the scenes of that show. And I say that as someone who likes the show, it certainly did not do well by its characters of color. So yeah, and women, just generally not, just generally anyone not men. But what's new in Hollywood, I guess. So.
I mean,
Yeah.
just because it's an old problem doesn't mean we can't still be annoyed at it.
No, it's very, very true. Let's see. 255 AD, where was it? 255 AD said, I would say every Cylon and New Caprica was a legitimate target because all of them are only there because they're choosing to take part in the occupation. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's something we brought up in the comments.
Yeah,
It was
like I
like,
don't. It just becomes one of those cases where the specifics don't map onto the reality that they were touching on. But I still don't think it's an invalid idea to because like I don't think the show was saying at any point that particular six was like truly innocent or anything, but it did give us her perspective, which
yes.
and her perspective was I wasn't one of the ones doing that and you did this horrible thing for me. And just because like she's part of the force doesn't part of that, occupying force and everything else doesn't mean that there is no value in finding out what her horrified perspective on that event was.
Yeah. No, it's why I liked that because it is like, yes, like if you're part of an occupying force, you can be a legitimate target in that sort of thing. And there's discussion to be had about that. But also the people who have that perspective will also be like, I wasn't doing anything. Like what happened? And have and also like how these things perpetuate trauma on everybody involved in it. Um, yeah, it reminds me, and of a comic that did it really badly, which was there was a Avatar: The Last Airbender comic. I think in one of your recent videos you mentioned like, oh, like I don't know if Avatar: The Last Airbender has like tie-in media.
I
And
know
I'm
it has a
like,
little, but not a lot.
it has a little. The novels are actually okay. The comics are very controversial, particularly
Hmm.
because one of them. People in the comments will probably correct me on this because it's been a while since I read it. But if I recall, it's about a firebender colony that settled on earthbender land. And Aang kind of does the whole like, well, we just need to live with each other now sort of thing. And like they're just as
Hmm.
much a part of this country now as the Earthbenders are, sort of thing.
I'm sure we can come up with a two-state solution.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe of the comic, and that comic is not well loved.
Whoops.
So yeah, so that is another like let me put it this way. The Battlestar Galactica I wouldn't have put it if Battlestar Galactica had dug into this concept. I don't necessarily trust it to have not done something better than that, but having brought it up here just as a thing that this 1/6 is emotionally dealing with, I think is interesting and works well for it without getting into the whole much more fucked
Yeah,
up
I
politics of the rest of it.
I think it is to the show's credit that it
Yeah.
did not try and delve into the bigger picture and just let it be a personal experience of one
Yes.
six.
Yes.
That was about the level of depth that I would trust this show to handle.
Yes. Yes. That there we go. That's the best way to put it. Well, speaking of kid gloves, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I really have no idea what I was
I
going for there.
look, I'm not even gonna ding you for this one. How the hell do you transition into a Latin phrase?
Yeah, and I can't even remember. Like they say it in the episode, and I'm like, I remember them saying in the episode, and I'm like, please remember how to say this. Please remember how to say this. Please remember how to say this. I don't remember how to say this, so I'm gonna fuck this up really terribly.
Go for
Uh,
it.
Sine qua non, sine qui non,
You were closer the first time.
sine
Both
qua
wrong
non.
though.
Yeah, I literally remember watching this last night. Be like, remember how to say it. Remember how to say it. And nope, nope, no, I did not. Well, we're gonna watch Sin Qua Non is what we're gonna we're gonna call it for now. Let us get into our recap of
But
the
I
episode.
feel like we should mush it together and call it Sinquanan.
Sequanin? Sin
Sinquanan.
Sid sign Sin quo
Stop
pro.
trying. You're
Yeah.
not helping.
No. Alrighty. We start off the episode with 60 taken to sick bay.
God,
And
double taps aren't worth what they used to
I
be.
know, yeah, she does die,
Yes,
but she
which
does
makes
live.
me like wonder what was the point of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I think just to add drama at the top of the episode.
Ugh.
Anyways, while all of this is going on and she's being taken to sick bay, um, the quorum over on Colonial One is getting reports. Like people are all like talking about rumors. They're like, "Oh, I heard someone shot the Cylon. I heard one of the Adamas shot a Cylon." Like those are the sort of things going around. Um, Zarek comes in. And he comes in to talk to the quorum, and people are asking, like, is the president dead? He's like, I have no truth from that. I try to get verifiable information. And we had seen earlier when Adama went in to see 60, he was like, we got a call. Ty was on the phone with Zarek. It's like, what should I tell Zarek? And Adama completely ignored that.
Yep.
And he also learns that the Marines are holding Athena, and that they just, from Ty, they just shipped out the last of their Vipers. So they're down to like 40 people that can do Vipers on the Galactica. So now that the base star is gone, it basically took all of their stuff, all of their Vipers.
Yep.
Um, so back on the quorum, Zarek's like, Adama didn't tell us directly he won't take my call. But we know that Rosalind, the Baltar, and the pilots on the Cylon base ship were all there when their leader was shot. And that's when they disappeared. And we don't know if the president or Baltar will be subject to reprisals. So
Hmm.
and then we also at this moment we have 60 as she is dying. She's having like visions of a forest, and she sort of raises her hand and then she passes away. So
I think it's worth noting that Doc Cottle does hold her hand.
yes, he does take a moment to be with her as she dies. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is nice. Again, speaks well of Coddle despite everything.
Hmm.
Again, Coddle's a great character, you know. All right, and then we have the end right before the opening credits. Zarek says, "I have taken over as president." So good, finally, someone in charge who can actually do it, like knows what he's doing. Unfortunately, it doesn't
Yeah,
go well
don't
for
get
him.
too excited.
Yeah, I know. But we cut over to a scene after the opening credits where Lee is talking to Adama. And he says, by refusing to meet with Zarek, you're helping spread rumors. We need reassurance. And Adama's like, well, you reassure them and tell Zarek he can go to hell. So he's like, that's your job. So,
Well, not on, yeah, he does say you can reassure him, but it's not just passing the buck. He is like, that's your job now.
mm-hmm. We then have Adama going to talk to Athena, and it's like he starts getting angry. He's like, do you hate your people so much that you deliberately try to sabotage this truce? She's like, no, that's not what happened. He's like, well, then make me understand why you did this. And she says they were going to take my child. And Dom was like, there were witnesses. He said the Cylon merely kneeled down in front of your kid after she was lost. And Athena's like, well, I had a vision. I saw a vision that they were going to take away my daughter. And Adama gets even angrier at this, like, you murdered an unarmed woman and put lives of every single person on the ship at risk, and they cost the lives, probably cost the lives of the president. And you also disobeyed a superior officer, but even worse, you betrayed me, doing that whole thing.
Yep.
And Athena says, like, well, just don't take away my girl. And Adama says, well, the brig is no place for a little girl, and sort of sends her away to the brig.
Yep.
So he's rightfully pissed off. So, yep. We then cut to Zarek speaking to the quorum. Basically, Zarek sort of like talking to everyone, being like, only Adama can, help my administration, I do stuff, I can only hear things. And I think one of the quorum members asked Lee, like, do you think your father will ever hand over power to this administration? And Lee, to his credit, answers honestly, no.
I mean, you say to his credit, my note was, wow, way to calm down the room, Lee.
I mean, he's being truthful, I think. So
He is. I'm not sure how helpful it was in that moment, but okay.
fair enough, I guess. Um, Anyways, we have Ty and Adama talking to each other, and Ty sort of giving him an update. The resurrection hub is gone. We had people sent out to go and check if it was still there. It's gone. So is the base ship that was with it. Um, and Adama's like, well, the other Cylons, they were determined to resurrect Deanna to find their final five. So they are going to go to the hub. So if we find it, we'll find them. And Ty's like, well, easier said than done. And Ty also mentions like Starbucks having trouble, having enough Vipers to sort of patrol the fleet and keep us safe. So we need to bunch up the fleet tighter, so it's easier to defend. And it will require civilians flying in closer formation. So Adama tells Ty to organize it.
Mm-hmm.
So over on Colonial One, Lee is having a meeting with Zarek, and Zarek sort of getting angry. Lee's like, I got you appointed this job because you might do some good. Now you're telling me to step aside for a position that is mine by law, a position that I was elected to. And he's like, and he even doubles down when Lee says something. He's like, I was elected to this office, which is more than Roslin can claim, which is
Well, yeah,
true.
because God, fuck, Lee pisses me off in this scene so goddamn much.
Hmm.
Because Zarek's, like that, this position, this office is my right by law, and Lee's like, well, you weren't elected to it, and which, like, okay, fuck off, dude. That's like chain of succession is not about who got elected to what position. That's why it exists. Like, you
Hmm.
fucking pedantic shithead.
Yeah.
And
And also
Zarek
Zarek's
rightfully
right. Yeah.
and Zarek rightfully points out, I did still get elected to the position that I held,
Hmm.
which is more than you were.
Yeah. And also, like, Roslyn at no point has ever been elected president. Like,
Nope.
she got the position both times by, the things going on. So,
Yeah.
yep.
And the one time there was an election, she
She
lost.
lost. Yep. Yep. She lost the
So, like,
popular vote over and over and over.
this scene annoys me because it really feels like it's constructed with the expectation that I'm going to agree with Lee, and I fucking don't.
Oh yeah, no,
Like,
I'm on Zarek's side every part of this. Yeah.
yeah, like they even give Zarek like kind of a whiny bitchy line where it's like, this position's, is my right by law, which, makes him sound whiny and
Petulant.
entitled
Yeah.
and petulant, except he's still right.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, god damn it, the writers of the show did not understand this character at all. Even as they consistently wrote him well, they didn't understand him. In the
Yeah.
fucking least, you can tell by the way he's constantly framed in scenes.
That's the thing with this scene, because like let me put it this way. Like I there's nothing that happens in this episode. I'll sort of give this away. There's nothing that happens in this episode that I think like is wrong in terms of what would happen, what's an interesting thing to happen. It's just framed wrong in the sense that it's like framed as Lee is correct and the moral one. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
episode, like everything the characters say and do and all the stuff that happens, like all makes sense to me because Lee in this scene, for example, he points out like Adama will never recognize you as president. We need someone who will. And the quorum can elect an interim president. But we don't have anyone in mind yet. We need to have a search committee to find a candidate. And Zarek says,
Yeah.
"Good luck with that." And
It's not
I'm
that
like,
it's not that
that's yeah,
Lee
yeah.
it's not that Lee has no point to make.
Hmm.
It's just that the scene is structured with the presumption of his correctness.
Yes, yes. Like I think like this whole point of like, look, the quorum can get you like remove presidents if they seem weak, and it is true. Like, yeah, this goes back to like season one shit of like how much the legitimacy of this government is just ever reliant on the Adama allowing it, considering how much power the military has in this situation.
Yeah.
So like it is all of it's very true. It's just like Lee is framed as like, yes, I am the morally correct one,
Yeah.
instead of the show being more neutral and just showing the complexities of it. I think is the way to
Yeah,
put it.
like Lee, because Lee's on his moral high horse for basically this entire fucking episode, it misses the opportunity that could have had for Lee to have been the depressed pragmatist, the one to say, "You're right, it's wrong, and it's unfair, but it's also the reality."
Yeah, that would have been much more interesting for
It
him
would
to
have
do.
been way more interesting and would have shown some fucking growth,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
No.
no, of course not. That would be interesting.
I think it just goes to the show's whole, and this is not. I mean, it is the show's fault, but it is the show's. It is not a uncommon fault of this of these types of shows, which is a well, the system is will work as long as we have the right people in charge. You know, Roslin's too much of an authoritarian, and Baltar was a weak-willed asshole, self-entitled asshole. But if we
And
got a
Zarek, we
good
just
one,
never gave a fair shake to.
and Zarek, we can't let oppressed people get in charge. What? Radical revolutionaries with power? Why would we ever listen to or trust anything they have to say? Yeah, no, ridiculous, ridiculous on its face, Vera. No, I don't know why you would even think that.
Please move on to another scene before I get any more angry than I already am. I'm begging you.
Well, we jump over to another scene. It'll make you even happier. But Zarek's giving an interview on the radio, and again, I just wrote it down because I'm like, Yeah, he's right. He's like, we haven't had a true government, but a tacit agreement between a military strong man and a military strong woman to rule together by fiat. And I'm like, yeah, he's not wrong. Yeah. Yep. It's like, all right, true. And then Lee's with Romo. And he also makes another point. And I'm like, oh no, he's correct about this too. He's like, I want to put together a civilian defense force because we don't want to depend on the Marines for to guarantee our safety here on Colonial One. And I'm like, again, smart move. Remember
Yeah,
the coup that happened, the military coup that happened a few years ago. Like, I'm
yep.
surprised that didn't happen then. uh,
But yay, Bromo's back.
yeah. So like, Lee has gone to see Romo. Um. And he's like, "You see our problem?" by pointing at the radio interview that they were listening to. And Romo's like, "Well, the first rule of political dynamics is, if you unstoppable force meets an immovable object, you stand aside and wait for the class action suit," which is a good line. And he's like, "Well, I don't want to sit around and wait to pick up the pieces. There's going to be bloodshed unless we can find you can find someone to take Tom Zarek's presidency." Um, and Romo's like, I don't want to take the case counselor. It's a loser. Um, and Zarek's, Lee's like, well, no one on the court was going to lift a finger to do this. Like Zarek's got them inhaling fear and exhaling anger. Um, and you also need a reason to get out of this room. So can we discuss what's keeping you here? Um, and Romo at this point sees his cat. At this point, like he's cat's roaming around the room, and he's like, "Well, so you won't be dissuaded. Well, not even when you hear my fee." And he points out, and Lee's like, "Well, what was your fee for?" Well, she's like, "Oh, your fee," and he says, "No, I was actually in this for the money, despite appearances. I had a reputation to maintain, and Rosalind offered me a room with a view, which is a tiny little porthole
This
in
just
the
this little
tiny little
that's
porthole.
funny.
It is very funny.
I
It's a good
actually
bit.
I like that.
Yeah. Lee says, I can't improve on that. So he's like, all right, well, pro bono it is. And he says, word to the wise, sometimes it's better to settle for what you've already got. So, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with Romo on this point, which is like the whole like, yeah, no, we've stuck between a shitty options. We can just stick with the shitty options. But, yeah, he's sort of very defeated mindset.
Like the again, the show's not imaginative enough to go there. There are ways to make that argument that could be more along the lines of like, look, we don't have to settle for this long term, but like we don't have the luxury of taking the time to hash this out right now.
Hmm.
So we settle for the least shit short-term solution,
Yes.
which
Yes.
would have been, a little bit more nuanced than this show usually has, especially when it comes to like to the big political
Hmm.
issues.
Hmm. When we jump over to Ty and Adama, and Adama sort of mentions to Ty, well, I've heard you had a relationship with a growing relationship with a Cylon prisoner. And Ty's like, not a word I'd use. But Adama's like, well, see if you can get her to tell you about the Resurrection Hub. We find them. We find them all. So Ty is down with Caprica 6, and he's
Mm-hmm.
interviewing her, and it's like, Resurrection Hub, how do we find it? And Caprica is like, you tell me. She basically explains only the hybrids can locate the Resurrection Hub, and only after a jump. We can't anticipate where it's going. Ty says, you're a liar. And Six says, I've never lied to you, Saul. And Ty goes, there's too many lives at stake. And Six goes, well, it's the president. She's the reason you're angry because she's on the base star. Why is a dying woman so important to you? And Ty goes, not to me, to the old man. Um, and then like she kneels in front of him, and she says, Saul, do you love me? And we see Ellen again, him seeing Ellen. But then a red alert happens essentially, and he starts yelling at her and says, yeah, these mind games are gonna end here, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
I'll have thoughts
Oh,
later.
I know you will, and I knew you would as soon as this storyline got going. Whee! Um, we then have Ty up with Adama because something has jumped into range. They're on the bridge. A mass missing one of the missing raptors has jumped into range, and there's no signatures. Racetrack is in another raptor going up to it. They sort of see that it's been venting fuel and O2. So Racetrack jumps, does a spacewalk and jumps over to it, and she sees there's been a lot of damage and that there's a dead pilot inside.
Yeah, which they they make a point of naming, which actually confused me more because like the line is like it's Pike, and I just thought, who the fuck is Pike?
Just
Like,
ants and mountains in there.
yeah, like it's just a red shirt. I mean, that's all it is. That's fine, but like the fact that they named it made me feel like I was supposed to remember this character. I'm like, I fucking don't.
Hmm. I mean, it makes sense to like name him. Like the character would know the
It
other
it
pilots,
do,
so
it does, but for me, I was just like, who?
it's a Star Trek reference, I'm sure. I wouldn't be shocked if they intentionally did it as a Star Trek reference. Anyways, the Raptor is brought into the hangar bay, and Adama's sort of looking through it, and he finds Rosalind's book that he gave her. And Ty comes up to him, and he's like, "This is the shuttle she took over to the base star. We need to find her." And Ty again says Zarek called and is asking for you, and Adama just ignores him again. So,
Yep.
yep. Um, we're then over with the quorum, and Romo is there. Or sorry, we're over on Colonial One, excuse me, and Romo's there, and he's sort of talking to Lee. He's like, one doesn't usually get the political power without ambition, and Rosalind, and he's like, Lee sort of argues, well, Rosalind never sought power, and Romo's like, well, that's a study in repressed ambition, never seeking out the job until it's handed to you. And he sort of points out that Lee has also had this too. Your man who doesn't carry out a path without having it handed to you, like you that sort of thing. You've had very
Mm-hmm.
similar. Did I jump ahead? I think I
No,
want to.
that's
Is that the scene? I want to make sure I didn't jump ahead on this scene. Okay, yeah, okay. I want to make sure that is. So,
and
then,
and and Romo is right. Like
yeah.
his promotions, his CAG thing, and now his place in the quorum is just like, hey Lee, do you want this advancement? Sure.
Yeah, all right, little Nepo baby.
Yeah, just stumbling his way into success.
Uh-huh. But while they're talking, they look out the window and they see Galactica is just jumps away. And Lee's like, why the hell didn't they tell us anything? What's going on? And like, what I like about this is, like, what we can presume because we've seen stuff over on the base star. I like seeing it from his perspective here of like, we didn't get a scene where it's like, all right, we're gonna jump away to go check out this thing. It's just they just left, and I have to imagine how like terrifying it has to be, um, when you're a civilian.
Yeah, you know what I kind of would have liked to have had happen in that scene
Mm-hmm.
is Lee's having this, why the hell, why did they do that? Why don't we know? And Romo looking at him and go, oh, this is the first time you've been on this side
Of
of the
that.
of the military ships just doing their own thing. You have no idea why. Welcome to the club.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the rest of us have been living for 3 years.
Yeah, right. It would be fun. It's been a fun time. Now you can live with the rest of us pigs in the shit. All right. We have Galactica has jumped to where they found where the Raptor had jumped from. They located the source of the transponder, and we see that there is a base star that's been totally destroyed. And as they're going through, they see the wreckage of some Vipers. Like one of the other people in Raptors see a Viper. It's like, oh, we see Sandman's Viper, but no Sandman. There's been multiple nukes. They have, signs of radiation resurrection technology, and Ty's like, it paints a pretty clear picture. They found the hub and destroyed it, and our pilots helped. And Adama sort of asked, like, where did they go from here? And Ty goes, "Well, this is the president's ship that was destroyed. This is the one that was this is the base star that's here." And
Yeah.
Adama goes, "Nope, this was a different base ship." And he sort of says it was very with a lot of conviction, even though he has no way of knowing that.
Nope.
Um, and he says, "All right, we're gonna leave 4 Raptors to stay behind." Um, and we'll have them sort of stay here and figure out what's going on. And Ty sort of argues like we're leaving the fleet with our asses in the wind, with its ass in the wind, and Adama says, "We'll give my order." So he is getting overly obsessive about this.
Yep.
It is very clear. They jump back, and we are in the quorum with Zarek. And Zarek sort of saying, "Well, Admiral Dama's not going to come." We are also being told that ships will be requisitioned from other civilians to help in the search for Roslam, and their Tillium shipments will be diverted. And the quorum gets all upset about this, like it's unconscionable.
Yeah. And Zarek is just left there going, and he still won't take my
My
calls.
call. Yep, exactly. Again, legitimacy of the president is just all on this guy. So,
Yeah.
by guy I mean Adama, not Zarek. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We then have Romo and Adama talking, and they're sort of like trying to figure out who would be a good candidate. First one they mention is the judge in the Baltar trials. Like, oh, she was impressive. I liked her judgment, and I especially liked her vote, as Romo says. But Lee sort of says like, we already asked her. She has no interest in politics, and Romo's like, well, now she really impresses me. As Lee is walking around, he sort of trips over the cat food bowl, and he sort of says, do you ever feed this animal? Where is it at? And Romo sees his cat sort of jump away somewhere else.
Yeah.
Um, and they're sort of asking like, who would Adama respect as president? And Romo starts going on, it's like the idiot's illusion of a clean slate. There's no one. This is an exercise in futility, or at least says this is an exercise in futility. So, and Romo sort of watches him. We then jump over to Adama talking to Coddle. And this is where we get into what I know you're gonna love. And he's sort of asking Coddle about like how is this going to affect Rosalind's treatment, and basically comes down to Coddle saying, it's gonna not be great the longer she's away, so the faster you get her back, the better. However, I was doing tests on our Cylon prisoner, and guess what I found? All right. We jump over to the next scene, and it's Ty and Adama. Ty is updating Adama on the Raptors, like they'll be due back in a few hours, but we haven't heard anything, so it's like they haven't found anything. And Adama's like, I'm not interested in the search. I know you've been spending time interrogating the Six, but now the brig guards tell me that every time you go there, you order them out and turn off the camera. And Ty's like, I'm not torturing her, if that's your asking. And Adama says, no, I don't think so. I don't think that. That I could almost understand. Coddle tells me she's pregnant.
Why?
I just want to say I'm laughing at Vera's reaction, everybody, not this.
Why? I seriously mean that. At this point, I know I have yelled at Ronald D. Moore to go to therapy. I am at this point legitimately concerned for his thought processes and his understanding of the potential dynamics between men and women. I'm legitimately concerned. Why? Why? We have her, manipulating him to a slight degree because she can tell that he's vulnerable. Maybe she doesn't realize he's seeing her as Helen, but like there's enough that there's a dynamic there. What the fuck is this? What?
I know. I
This
forgot about
this
this whole plot
is
line, and it's
so completely unnecessary. It adds nothing to the actual dynamic that was being built between Caprica and Ty. Nothing. This adds nothing meaningful and just makes the whole thing gross. Because I don't know how they're going to spin this from an emotional perspective, but there's no ethical version
oh
of
God
this.
no, God no.
He's her jailer, she's his prisoner. And I do not have any faith that this show or the fucking people behind it will ever confront that issue. And even if I said all that disgustingness aside, you'll notice I'm too exhausted to even be
No,
shouting.
I just realized something too, and I think the show does bring it up. But what I will say is there's gonna be a piece of information that we'll learn that's gonna make this more fucked up.
Terrific.
I don't know if the show
You,
makes the connection to it. It might, but it's
but
more fucked up.
yeah, you'll notice at this point, I'm too exhausted by all this shit to even shout anymore.
No, I
I
got it.
just like
I got it.
I've shouted about this already. I have screamed about this. I have shown my anger. I'm just fucking exhausted by this. But let's for a moment set aside how fucked up that is. We shouldn't, but for a moment let's do it anyway. Why is it never brought up the idea that so far as Coddle and Adama know, this means there's another human Cylon hybrid on the way? Why is nobody bringing that up? This shows failure to realize how many fucking hybrid children it has. And look, even if the show like addresses it later and goes, ooh, like they didn't realize these ones, like this is right in their face. I get Nikki. It is fucking insane to me that Tyrell hasn't been asking fucking questions about his kid. But like, I get that nobody else would understand that there are questions to be asked about Nikki. I understand the number of people who would even think to answer that question is very small. I'm still annoyed they aren't asking them, but it is very small. But the idea that Adama and Coddle are not immediately going, we thought that was a one-off fucking thing. What the hell? And even if they do it later, that is too big a thing, supposedly, because you made a whole fucking huge thing out of it the first time it happened, and now it's happening again, and nobody says a fucking thing. So even if they circle back onto it and try and make it a thing later, they fucking blew it. They fucking blew it because nobody cares. I don't care. I don't care because they don't care.
Yeah, that's all I
Fuck
can
this show,
say.
man. Fuck this show. This show fucking sucks. And last week was a good episode. It was a legitimately good episode. Fuck this show.
I don't hate this episode as much as you. I hate this development, but I don't hate this
I
episode as
hate this
you.
show. I like at this point, I mean it. And I don't mean in a there is no value to be had here. And I don't mean it in a I'm upset with you if you still like the show way. But I do mean for me personally, I fucking hate this show.
We're almost there. We're almost there, Vera.
Just the roller coaster. And the fact that last week's episode was legitimately really good actually makes this worse. It makes this hurt more because I it shouldn't have to be like this. And I know it doesn't have to be, but it is. It is anyway. God damn it. I fucking hate this show.
Doesn't have to be this way. That's just the funniest way you can put that. Anyways. All right. Anyways, we go back to the scene. Yeah, there's a whole argument about this. I could almost understand if you were torturing her, and he's like, do you deny it? And Ty says, Ty doesn't say anything. He's like, you can't. What the hell have you been thinking? Who's interrogating who? How many secrets have you given to her? And it's like, you question my loyalty. And it's like, I need more than your loyalty. You're my first officer. I need your judgment. I need your competence. You're jeopardizing the ship. You're risking all of our lives for a woman. Ty throws that back at Adama, saying, you're risking all of our lives for a woman. And Adama says, she's the president, not the fracking skin job I've been banging. What would Ellen say about her husband fracking a silent prisoner? Then Ty punches him in the face, and we get an old man fight. I just wrote, old man fight, let's go. But yeah, they old man fight, but eventually it leads to Adama's model ship getting broken again. And Adama says, do you know how many times I've had to repair this thing? And the fight sort of ends, and he says, what are you going to do with that woman, meaning Caprica 6? And then Ty says, what are you going to do about Laura if you ever find her? He says, I don't know.
Hmm.
So, I all the fucked upness around what's going on with Capricorn aside, I did like Adama's lines like, I need your competence, I need your, I need your judgment. Like, that was a good line. Like, Adama's anger is justified here. So,
I'm not saying it isn't, because
oh yeah, no, I know.
it's it's fucked up what's going on. Like all of this is very fucked up. But simply
Mhm.
because Adama shares my anger
No,
doesn't
no,
help.
no. Oh,
Because
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
his
that.
anger is directed at another character. Mine is directed at the writers.
No, I totally understand. I wasn't legitimate. I wasn't delegitimizing what you were saying. I
I
just didn't like.
know.
I was just trying to give something to the scene. Anyways,
Bless your heart.
yeah, we have a quick little shot of Athena in the brig. Then we jump over to Adama talking to Starbuck, and he sort of gives her the order of like have the Raptors and civilian ships begin searching even further the area. And Star's like, I don't even have enough pilots to patrol the fleet, and you want me to send out our Raptors? Well, my people are going to start acting like they're being sent on a suicide mission. And Adama says, I'm not asking. So
Hmm.
he's getting even more obsessive about chasing after Roslyn. And then we have Adama on the flight deck watching the crew prepare, and Romo comes up to him and he says, this is, I have something for you to sign. It's writs of forfeitures for the ships. The civilians don't want to be blamed if anything happens, and no one wants responsibility, even the apocalypse. And then he starts talking to him. Is like, Lee told me that you gave him something before a mission. And Adama says, yeah, it was a lighter. Foolish to think a hunk of metal would keep him safe, as my father's. And Romo says, well, that's what we do. Hang on to hope, even in hopelessly irrational ways. In any hope, every hope, hold on to hope in any hopelessly irrational way we can. But you're not like these poor bastards, giving their luck away. And he's talking about the pilots there. And Adama says, "You've never been in combat. You have no idea what you're thinking." And Roma says, I always judge you as a realist, not one to indulge a vain hope at the cost of lives. But then everyone has their limits. And he says the Latin phrase sine qua non, whatever it is, which means without which not. Those things in this, and Romo explains those things that we deem essential, that we cannot bear to live without, without which life becomes valueless, becomes abstract. And Adama says, you may have a point, counselor. And Romo says, well, while I'm on a roll, let me try this. Zarek may not be an ideal president, but we could do worse. And Adama says, you're right. There are limits to my realism.
Yeah. It's worth noting in the scene, we are getting cuts down to the pilots down on the flight deck as they're like getting ready. And there's like a couple of them where they are having moments like saying goodbye to loved ones who they
Mm-hmm.
might not see again, and sort of very sort of tangibly bringing to the surface the potential cost of Adama not giving up the search for Rosalind. And that is actually a visual moment that I really appreciate, because it's worth noting that like it's while I may not know who the fuck Pike was, somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody knew that person. Somebody's gonna miss him. And sort of making that point even as he's standing his ground in the most stupidly stubborn thing that he's done in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I like it too. I like this sort of scene with Romo too, and he's trying to, because as we'll later learn, it kind of fits in with what he's doing. Is he's lost hope, ever like of anything. He's become very disillusioned with everything. And he's basically arguing for this sort of like realist perspective of like why are we still doing all these things, and this sort of question that I like the episode having, even though it doesn't delve into it as much as I would have liked, of like this idea of realism versus hope. How much do you hold on to hope that there can be something better versus how much do you like be pragmatic about the situation, being like this is where we're at, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And tying that into ideas of like Adama's sort of risking everything on finding Rosalind because he has feelings for her. Like, it's an interesting concept, and I like these ideas. The episode doesn't explore them super well, but
No,
I
not
do like
especially.
the idea being brought up here, and Romo's disillusionment is interesting in this scene at the very least. This is probably my favorite scene of the episode, I would argue. So
Yeah, no, it's probably is the best scene in the episode.
yeah. Actually, I need to pee anyway, so that mind if I quick run to the bathroom?
Do you actually need to
I
pee
do
this
actually
time?
need to pee. I do actually need to pee. I
It's
promise.
not just an excuse to show me your ass again?
I promise. I'll be right back.
Damn it. I wouldn't have minded a view of that. Oh, see, that's not a bad view. She looks good when she walks away. Uh, I really like, I am gonna, dear listener, I'm gonna try very hard, to still be able to recognize when the show does things right and does things that work and does things that are good. Um, and I'm gonna try and not just be the miserable person at the party, but I do, when I say I hate this show, I do actually really mean it. I think I fucking hate this show. And it's not because there's nothing good in it, it's because the good is just buried. It's buried and it's tangled up in stuff that I can't stand. And I think I'm just going to try and continue to be entertaining because that's the best that I can offer at this point.
What are you saying?
Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Waxing philosophical about your ass.
Ah, I mean, I do that a lot too. I understand. Okay. So we jump back into a scene with Adama and Lee. And Adama basically says, I can't give up on her, meaning Rosalind. I can't let her go. I've lost objectivity. Now that I see that I have no choice, tell the quorum that I'm relinquishing command effective immediately. We then jump over to Romo, and he's sort of talking to himself in his room to his cat. And he says, no man is perfect. No man is less perfect than a candidate for high office. Thus, the ranks of likely suspects are winnowed to none. What if we're going about this backwards? And he starts, we're picking names and finding faults. What if we choose the qualities that we want? No need in a chief executive. And he sort of lists out like honesty, wisdom, to recognize the unpopular choice, and the courage to, go out with it. And it spells out only one name, the one we knew from the start. Sometimes you take on a losing case, you make yourself a believer. Other times, no matter what you tell yourself in your heart, that the outcome is fixed. The verdict inevitable, defense rests. He he heads out of the room. Notably, he picks up the cat carrier. We never saw him pack up his cat. And we turn to see what's on the board, and he wrote, Lee Adama.
My note just says barf in all
Mm-hmm.
caps.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it's not the fact that he wrote Lee's name down, but the fact that he was like, what traits would we want in a president? Oh, we want someone who will make the unpopular choice and somebody with wisdom and somebody so like not Lee.
Mm.
None of these things describe Lee.
Mm-hmm. What I would have liked better, and he almost gets to the point of it, like, but he what I would have liked to have been done, like you could have done this with it being like, we need someone who would be accepted by Adama, would like actually be like respect like the pragmatic elements of the job of like Adama like Lee makes sense because he would be respected by the military. He wouldn't be delegitimized by Zarek. And he would have the backing of the quorum. So like there's just as a pragmatic solution, Lee does make sense over Zarek.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's not how they
no,
present this
no, it's
shit.
not how they present it. That's what I'm arguing here. The thing that I do like in the scene that they do present is Romo sort of like, ugh, God, fucking Lee. I knew this was where it was going to be from the start, sort of thing, like that whole
Yeah,
thing.
I agree. Doesn't make me any less pissed about it.
Yep, yep. Well, Romo is also seemingly pissed about it because he encounters Lee in the corridor out of his office, and he says, well, we found our candidate. Someone the quorum won't hesitate to approve. Someone the admiral can't help but accept. And Lee's like, who? And he's like, congratulations, Mr. President. And Lee's like, well, my name was never on was never on the list. And Roma goes, well, that would be too blatant, wouldn't it be? But it is everything you ever wanted. It's why you had me cross off 47 names off that list. Come on, admit it. Save your victory, Mr. Dahmer. Because you'll never get a chance to serve. And he points a gun at Lee. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, look. I know we've got a bit more of this scene to get through. Can I just say it right now? What the fuck is this scene?
Mm-hmm.
What? And I'm asking that legitimately. I don't understand what the fuck they were thinking with this scene. What point they were trying to make, or like I don't get it. I do not get this scene at all, and I get it less as we get to the shit that comes that comes out on the back end.
I do, but I get what they were trying to do, and it's convoluted as fuck. But I get what they're trying to do and the connection thematically that they're trying to make, but it doesn't really work. But I will explain what I think it really is. Um,
Okay.
Basically he points a gun at him and he basically says, you're perfect for the job, because after Baltar's presidency and the bit of disappointment that it was Roslin, you're a shining beacon of hope, and hope is the last thing we need. We're a doomed race. We need to make peace with that truth. And he says, open the bag to Lee, and he goes, what's in the bag? That I wrote down there, but it's his dead cat. Turns out his cat's been dead for a very long time. Um,
I mean, you
you
say
know,
a long time, it's weeks.
yeah,
Is
weeks. He's
so,
like,
so like I see dead cats. Like what? Oh, fuck,
yeah,
man.
and he's like, I belong to my wife. Fate presented me with a choice. I could get back in that shuttle, or I could run home and try and save my family. Which do you think I chose? Um, and Lee sort of argues like, well, we all had to make difficult choices. I know you had two daughters, and there were 200 passengers on that shuttle. I read it in your file, and no one blamed Romo because at a certain point we all made decisions to save our lives at the cost of others. You're not unique. Your sins are not so special. And Romo's like, you're gonna rest your case on that pathetic bit of insight, and he's Lee sort of argues like, you're right, clean slates are an illusion, but at a certain point we have to have faith in ourselves and our right to survive as a species and as a people. That's not a given, that's a choice. Well, I've made mine, and if you can't stomach that, you can squeeze the trigger, or you can. And Romo doesn't. He says, or you can make a choice. You can put your past behind you, put the gun down, and help me, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna make a difference in this fleet. And is that your final word? And Lee says, that's up to you. And then he says, then swear it. And we cut to a scene where Lee is getting sworn in as president. So Romo doesn't kill him.
Hmm.
Okay. So my read on what they're trying to do with this scene, and I actually don't dislike the idea a lot. Like, I actually really do like the idea quite a lot. It's in an episode that does not work for it. But the idea that I do like about it is this idea of Romo is kind of feeling like he's defining himself by the sins of his past. Like, he had a family and he chose to save himself over saving his family. And the only piece of his family that he had was his cat. And it was like he didn't even like the cat, but it was, as we learned in other episodes, but it was like a cat that he held on to as like, okay, I've got to protect this because this is like the one member of my family that I did save. And even the cat died. So then it's this sense of, okay, there's no hope anyways. Like, I can't even save this fucking cat. Like, I can't even save the cat. There's no hope for any of us. And I'm a terrible piece of shit. So what's the point? And the basic idea is he feels like he has been there's nothing good about him worth saving anymore, and he extrapolates that out to the entire species because of the choices that he had to make. And Lee's argument back is like, yes, we've had to make shitty choices, and we don't blame each other. We have to move forward, but at a certain point we have to like choose to want to keep surviving. We have to choose to keep fighting to survive. And I like that idea of like at a certain point, like you're gonna like if you're fighting for survival, uh, in against a genocide or all of these things, at a certain point you're gonna be like, what's the point? Is there any point in doing this? And you have to make the continual choice to keep wanting to fight, to keep hoping that there might be something better on the horizon. And I think that is a very worthwhile thing. I mean, it's even something that I see happening in discussions today where there are people being like, what's the fucking point? Climate change is coming. There's genocides happening everywhere. Like, Trump is in charge. Like, what's the point? What are we even fighting for? And you do have to make the active choice to be like, yes, there's still something worth fighting for. That whole idea from something from like, I saw the TV glow of there is still time. As long as you are still alive, there is still time to make a choice to like choose to fight for something better and to be like do something better. So I like that idea. I think it's a very interesting, insightful idea that I think applies to a lot of the things this show does. But it's convoluted as fuck around this idea of Lee being the fucking shining hope. You know what I mean?
Like that, like that's the thing. I can track everything you say, and then my question is, and that has what to do with the rest of this fucking
That's what I'm
scene?
saying. Like the idea of that is really interesting, but then it's like presented as like Lee is the symbol of that hope. Like by choosing Lee, Lee is like the hope for humanity going forward, which is fucking weird. And
It's fucking depressing, is what it is.
I'll say this too, is not even bared out by what happens with this plot line with Lee in the show. Like, I'm gonna tell you this. This goes fucking nowhere. Like I'll tell you this. Like Lee's president for like 2 episodes. It's fine. Like, and it like it just nothing comes of it really. And so it's like this whole. It's just weird to me to have this whole like Lee is gonna be the hope for humanity and like go through this whole convoluted rigmarole to make Lee president. Uh, and it means nothing, and it's like weirdly dilutes the actual point that you want to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it makes Lee this weird fucking symbol of this idea that I think is much better if it's more abstract. You know what I mean? If it not like signified by Lee being like the hope for humanity.
Yeah. I mean, there's that. And also, like, you say it's a good idea, otherwise I call it a half good idea. Like, I'm just at a point where
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I don't find I don't find slides into nihilism compelling, like as
Well,
story beats.
that's what I like it. That's why I like this because this is an active like choice against nihilism. It's being like you can't be nihilistic, which I like as an idea.
I know that's the argument that Lee is making, but it is requiring fully sliding Romo to it to a degree that also doesn't feel properly earned for him as a character at this point, at least from the gap of time that we've had. And I just like writers don't know how to write characters in despair who don't become nihilistic, I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of times. And I'm like, not all despair turns to nihilism. Find find a different method of despair, for fuck's sake.
I again, you're making me devil's advocate, a thing I don't even want to devil's advocate. But I will actually argue. I think this works for Romo's character. Like as I explained, like the cat was the one thing that he saved from his family, and losing the cat, it's like, well, I couldn't even save the fucking cat. You know what I mean? Like I buy the slide into nihilism, and like looking around at like the dwindling numbers of humanity, I buy nihilism being a very easy choice and probably a very common choice in this fleet. So like this idea, that idea of like slipping into nihilism, while I agree with you, is often a very easy choice for writers, I think actually makes sense in this context. It's
uh,
just for me, it's less like the idea of it. I actually like the idea of it, and I like the point of it, uh, as like an anti-nihilistic stance in the face of like genocide and facing like the sense of awfulness. Like I think it very again, as I said, I think it applies to today. I see people dealing with it today. Um, like right now, but I don't think it works with the plot that they have chosen to stick that interesting theme within. I think it's probably the best way I put it.
I think it is an interesting theme in a vacuum. I like no part of its implementation in this show
No,
works.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like it's an interesting theme,
But
and
see,
it's
that's
not.
the thing. I give it no points for being an interesting theme because it has no fucking business being at this point deployed this way. I feel like I'm having the argument that I used to have with fucking Snyder Bros when Batman v Superman came out, and they had to explain why on paper fucking Martha wasn't the stupidest line ever because, oh, but don't you see, this is the moment where he realizes that Superman like has a mother, and then he sees him as another human being for the first time. It's like, I get it on paper, I get it. It doesn't matter because it doesn't fucking work.
You're telling me Martha didn't work for you? Martha, save Martha. God, you know, I at least appreciate the Snyderverse for being a vision. You know, it wasn't corporatized to fucking death, so I'll give it that. It wasn't slop. It wasn't corporate slop. I'll give it that. Uh anyways, we've talked about this scene enough. Moving
Yes, we
on.
have.
Lee is sworn in as president. Huzzah. Uh, Ty talks to Adama because Adama is basically giving Ty the head of the fleet. He's like, this is a joke. He's like, you know, the last time I took over, it was a disaster. And Adama's like, you're not the
And
same man. Yeah, incredible.
yeah, like the you're not a same man that like that's a fucking meta line for the audience. That's barely an argument. Ty makes a far more valid point. This
Yeah.
went really badly.
Yep. And
A point
Adama's all,
that will get brushed under the rug completely.
yes, and Adama says, well, don't count on this being permanent. And Ty said, what if it is? And he says, well, you put these on, you lead the people there the best way you can. This fleet has stayed here too long. And he sort of says, any last orders? And Adama says, "Give Athena back her daughter. We all need her family. You need to take care of this one." And he hugs Ty. One thing I do like, just as a little illusion, as Ty sort of looks away, there's the music of the Cylon music from the end of season 3 plays, which I kind of like.
Hmm.
It's like now you got Cylon technically in charge of the fleet, so which is interesting.
Might have been if I still cared.
uh, we then see Lee as president, and he's talking to Romo. And Romo sort of comes into his office, and there's a dog there, and it is as we'll later learn, it's the same dog that had the dog bowl where like what am I blanking on his name now?
Gata.
Gata was sort of flipping the dog bowl to signal.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a nice touch. I'll take that.
Yeah, and he says, "This is Jake. He's a hero of New Caprica, but his previous owners had to let him go, so I'm giving him to you as your new best friend." And Romo's like, "One thing I hate more than cats is dogs," and he's like, "Oh, a new pet for you to loathe. It's a perfect gift." So, I thought it's cute.
Sure.
It's him having hope, Vera. He's having hope. There's something new for him to care for. He has something to work for and hope for, Vera. Don't you see?
Whatever, man.
I don't hate it. We then have a quick scene between Lee and Adama. And he's sort of says, "Oh, you're keeping Zarek as your VP," and he's like, "Yeah, I need his advice," and um, he's like, "I'm not sure if I trust that." And he's like, I'm gonna be you're gonna be president, and I'm gonna be getting in a plane. Ladama says, I should say. Um, and he's like, "I'm just risking my own neck now." And he's like, "I could order you not to." And he's like, "My first mission was this is Adama saying this. My first mission was a solo recon. I was alone in a raptor in enemy's face. I was scared, but I was doing my duty. I faced my fear. It was a good memory, but I can't live without her. And I believe that Laura will get to the rendezvous point." So we then have a quick scene where Adama gets in a raptor. He's sort of seen off by Starbuck and Adama. The Starbuck and Adama have their little like, what do you hear sort of thing that they say to each other every so
Yeah.
often. And he gets in a raptor, and the entire fleet jumps away, and we just are left with Adama sitting there reading his book, waiting for Rosalind. We also, during all of this, have a quick little shot of Athena in the brig with her daughter. So,
Yeah. Oh, you missed the line that made me write "fuck off."
mm.
Adama's line, I can't live without her.
I did
It's
say that. I didn't mention
well, then I zoned out. Fuck off, man. Like, look, it's not that I have a problem with the sentiment. No, that's not true. I do have a problem with the sentiment
it.
at this point because like he's basically made this exact choice with three fucking characters now. He did it with Lee, he did it with Starbuck, now he's doing it with Rosalind. This is such a repeated beat for him. It has lost all meaning and power as far as I'm concerned. Oh well, he'll endanger things for his yeah, I fucking know. I fucking know. I've watched him do it over and over and over again. It's not interesting. It's not exciting. It's not revelatory. But something about specifically have him say the line, "I can't live without her," just felt so shallow. It just felt like the tritest possible way
To say that.
to summarize what he's doing. So I already don't like what he's doing, but to use those words to describe it, just fuck off.
Hmm.
Man,
Hmm.
God damn it.
Yeah, fair. I can see that. I agree it's on the nose. That's my problem with it. I agree. I don't mind it necessarily as a plot beat, but it is true. It is true we've seen it as a plot beat for him before. Anyways, I'm not going to spoil a minute. What did you think of the episode? I think we are already aware.
Fuck this show, man. But I can't even say it. I can't even say it laughing anymore. Fuck this show.
Well, we only got 12 more episodes in a movie, so
Joy.
we'll get through it together, Vera. I promise.
Look,
I
I'll try and be entertaining for the sake of the podcast, but like this show is a complete write-off for me at this point. And like I know I've said this before, but it was kind of in a I don't know if I'd still be watching if I was watching. So no, I'm drawing a line at this point. If we weren't doing a podcast, I would bail.
yeah,
I would bail and stop watching this show.
we'll get through it. We'll get through it, and I swear to you, Caprica is at least more interesting. So we'll have campy 80s. Just think of the camp 80s-ness we're gonna
I'm
get a
looking
little bit.
forward to the campy 80s
It's
one.
campy 80s stuff made by Mormons, Vera. It's gonna be great.
It's not even 80s, it's 70s. It's the
Yeah,
sequel one that's
it's
80s.
80s. Yeah, and it's made by Mormons, so it's gonna be fascinating.
Yeah. I, I'm I'm so ready. I'm so ready for Mormon sci-fi bullshit. I'm so ready for that. I'm so done with this.
We'll get through. We'll get through. Um, all right. What I will say to sort of be the devil's advocate on this one, I don't particularly love this episode either. But just to give it a slightly more positive spin, there is stuff that I do like about it, like the theme stuff. Romo's always good to be seen here. Um, and the stuff with Ty can go fuck itself. And I don't mind the stuff with Adama. It is a plot beat we've seen with him before of like how far he'll go to try and save people that he loves, and he'll put people in danger and all of that jazz. But it works fine enough here, and it works fine enough as an arc for his character with Rosalind, given how much he didn't give a shit about her. And there is a nice, interesting, even echo for me in how he's treating Zarek, which is a very similar way to how he treated Rosalind in season one. And now we're seeing him do that again to Zarek while also still caring for the person that he did that to in the first place in season one. So there's something nice there as a sort of like, echoing points, I guess.
Mm.
Um, so I don't mind that. I don't mind the him going for Rosalind. I actually think it's probably the strongest romance storyline in this show, and this is sort of an interesting culmination of that for me. The ignoring Zarek stuff is interesting, and I think my biggest problem with the episode outside of the Ty stuff is really just the framing of Lee as like hope and correct. Like if they had taken this episode and been much more pragmatic about it and have be like Lee be the pragmatist and Romo's more frustration is like just him being a nepo baby. Like you're a nepo baby who's getting everything that he fucking wants, and like this is just what our world is coming to now. I have no fucking hope because God, we're just getting nepo babies all the way fucking down. And like Lee sort of having the argument of like you gotta have hope. If it had been that, I probably would be more on board with it. But as it stands, I don't dislike this episode other than the Thai stuff, which can go fuck itself. So
Okay.
that's my kind of argument on this one. I am again, Thai stuff aside, am more positive on this episode, even if it's a fucking mess. So I just think I think the show would I think the two things that this would be better if it just stopped treating women like shit and realized that Lee is an idiot. If it did those two things, I think would be good.
And as a chaser, if we could realize Zarek's right,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that'd be nice, especially since we're actually dealing with the political shit, and the show still doesn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, with that said, Vera, anything else?
No.
Stuff time it is then.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks. Patreon pays the bills. Main thing that supports is the Council of Geeks YouTube channel. I don't know what's going to be up at the time this comes out. Funny thing is, I actually do because I've actually got my docket planned out for a bit, but I'm fucking exhausted by just thinking about this damn show, and I don't want to pull it up and check. So go check out the main channel and see what's gone up there recently. Maybe it was good. Who knows? I was probably happier to make that than talk about this. Um,
I love that we're just making you more and more depressed as this goes on.
God damn, man, this fucking show. There's also the break room of geeks where I put up my thoughts on whatever I've watched, read, listened to, or played lately. I don't think there's anything specific coming up, so it's probably mostly going to be weird shit as I try and burn through more of the commission docket.
I like weird
Uh,
shit.
some of it's very weird. It was still more enjoyable than this, even the stuff that I was baffled by. That's about it for the geeky stuff. There's also the spicy stuff,
Also the spicy stuff.
which I don't feel like doing the voice tonight. I'm too beat. I'm too beat. This thing has drained
This
me, and
this show has beat you off too much.
this show has drained me in the worst way. It wasn't even a good milking. But if you are interested in that side of what I do, you can look for Vera
Interested in that
Wild.
side of what she does.
Wild is spelled WYLDE, and you can find
YLD.
increasingly spicy
Increasingly
content
spicy
on
content.
YouTube,
YouTube.
TikTok,
And you can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I do my video essay style of stuff. I will almost certainly at this point have a video about Starfleet Academy out. You can check that out. The Ferengi video will appear one day if you dream hard enough about it.
I think this is the question right now.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to finish this show
Oh, almost certainly.
before
Oh,
the
almost
Ferengi?
certainly video. Almost certainly. The real question is, will we finish Caprica before that video comes out?
Well, considering Caprica's not even the next one we're doing,
Oh, we're gonna do. You wanted to do
we
Galactica
we were
next,
gonna
or?
alternate because we were gonna do this, then we were gonna do the original, then we were gonna do
Oh,
Caprica,
okay, okay,
then
we're
we
good.
were gonna do
Okay,
80.
okay, okay. I thought we were finishing off Caprica first. But okay, that makes sense.
No,
That works.
I need a break. Even if look, I will do my best to come into Caprica with a an open mind, but I need a break. I need a breather from this shit. If you want me to have any prayer of giving it a fair shot,
Fair enough.
you
Fair enough.
need to give me the 70s Mormon sci-fi cheese. Let me have that. My palate needs cleansing so fucking
Okay,
bad.
no, that's fair enough. Fair enough. We'll do that. That sounds good. Well, okay. The question is, will we finish the original Galactica first? Then we'll see how it all shakes out. But more than likely, I'm gonna be busy coming up. I got a bunch of shit coming up, so I will probably need to finally put it out. Anyways, if you're looking for me to put out, you can check out my video essays over on Jesse Gender. I'm also on Jesse Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews,
Where
reactions.
you also put out
Yeah,
After
where I
Dark.
also put out After Dark. I'll be reviewing Star Trek Starfleet, it's not Starfleet Academy, Strange New Worlds over there. I also have reviews up of Spider Noir. It'll be a spoiler-free one, but it'll go over my thoughts on the series because I have seen it. I got screeners for it. And other stuff will be coming over there as well. So check that out. I'm also on Nebulos, the streaming service that houses my movie identities, as well as the upcoming show Subliminal that I direct an episode of. And I'm on Patreon that helps me pay my bills. And I'm on Blue Sky, on Instagram. Anything else, Vera?
Nope.
Alrighty then. I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.